Hey everyone, you just tuned in to the NetSuite podcast. I'm your host, Kendall Fisher, and if you haven't heard or seen already, a new member of the Superheroes of Finance was unveiled last week. Drum roll, please. Intangible Girl. Okay, I know I promised last time that I wouldn't do my superhero voice, but I just kind of have to when we're talking about them, so I'm sorry. But she is as every bit of awesome as she sounds. I'm not going to give away anything right now because we'll be joined by our content director here at NetSuite, Barney Beal, who's been leading the creation of these superheroes and their origin stories. He'll be diving into Intangible Girl, her love for accounting, and how the demise of her wealthy family and their business eventually led to her becoming a superhero of finance. Then, I'm excited to bring on a real-life superhero, Jun Feng. Feng is a controller at Contentstack, the pioneer in API-first headless CMS technology for managing and delivering omni-channel content. She notes her own superpower in leveraging technology to help businesses grow, and then explains how she used that superpower to overcome the challenges she faced after joining Contentstack, including siloed systems, spreadsheets, lack of automation and real-time information, as well as manual data entry. She goes into detail about how she helped the company decide to implement NetSuite and why that decision was so crucial to Contentstack's continued growth, especially in taking on multiple subsidiaries and in collaboration with different teams across the globe. Feng concludes by revealing how Contentstack will continue to leverage NetSuite as it accelerates forward toward new opportunities, goals, and growth. That's all coming up, so stay tuned.
You're listening to the NetSuite podcast, where we discuss what's happening within NetSuite, why we're doing it, and where we're heading in the future. We'll dive into the details about the software and the people at NetSuite who are behind all the moving parts. We'll also feature customer growth stories, discussing the ups and downs of running a company and how one integrated system can help your business continue to scale.
All right, first up, I'll welcome Barney Beal, our content director here at NetSuite, who's been deeply involved in the creation of our superheroes. He'll introduce our latest addition to the bunch, Intangible Girl, her origin story, and her superpowers. Hi, Barney. Welcome to the NetSuite podcast.
Hi, Kendall. Thank you. It's good to be here.
Yeah, I can't believe we haven't had you on prior, but this is the start of something new, Barney. You might be on now. Forevermore.
Very exciting. Very exciting.
Good. Well, you've been deeply involved in creating these superheroes and writing their origin stories. So before we dive into our latest edition, Intangible Girl, can you explain a bit about what goes into the creation of these superheroes and why you've been tasked with heading this up?
Sure. I mean, it's kind of a group effort. When Danielle Tarp and team kind of came up with the idea, the call went out. It's anybody interested in participating, sort of join in. And, suddenly all those years collecting comic books as a kid, kind of paid off. I sort of assumed I'd just, sell them all at a profit and make myself rich when I was, when they matured. But I think they're sitting in a box in my parents' barn in Maine right now. So this has been fun too, though.
That's awesome. So wait, as a superhero fan or as a comic fan, like who are some of your favorites of all time?
Yeah, I mean, I was really into kind of some of the Marvel standards, Spider-Man, Daredevil, the X-Men stories about teenagers facing difficulties because they're different is always a pretty good theme for preteen. Mm-hmm. And I also like some of the stranger ones, Silver Surfer, Power Man, and Iron Fist. I was a bit of a collector, so I read a lot.
That's awesome. And it's definitely paid off. I've been lucky enough to sit in on some of the ideating around these superheroes and just hearing you and the others that are involved in it, spew off these ideas. It's awesome. It is really cool. And I think it also is great for our audience because everybody loves a superhero, right? Like even if you didn't collect growing up, I mean, you still love them.
Right. I mean, who would have thought working for an ERP software vendor and all those comic books kind of paid off.
Right. And connecting the dots there. So actually let's get into Intangible Girl. Speaking of connecting the dots, first of all, What does she do and what's her superpower?
Sure. I mean, so Intangible Girl, she's really kind of our accounting superhero. And kind of sadly, as is often the case with accounting, she's overlooked. So she has the power of invisibility. And she also has these AI-powered disks that sort of reconcile conflicting data for her automatically, which pays off in certain scenarios.
Right. So kind of going back, we are actually just talking about your backstory a little bit, but why is Intangible Girl so passionate about this? Like, what can you tell us about her backstory that made her this way?
Sure. I mean, I'll let your listeners kind of check out the origin story on their own. But as a little tease, I mean, she's the middle child, born into a life of privilege, and faces some challenges, and ultimately has to make a go of it on her own, becoming Intangible Girl and adopting an alter ego.
Yeah, for those of you who are tuning in, this backstory is actually real. I love it. It's so interesting. So I will provide a link to that in the description of this episode, where you can go and really read all about it and kind of hear what happened. The family business goes under and all that stuff, and how Intangible Girl, can I say her real name? Maybe Worth. How May becomes Intangible Girl and starts using her superpowers to help growing businesses. And that kind of, Barney, brings me to my next question. You work with customers all the time. Why is accounting for intangible assets a challenge for growing businesses? Like, what have you seen? What have you heard in interviewing some of these companies?
Yeah, I mean, intangible assets, they're tricky. Patents, trademark, goodwill, all these things, they're tough to quantify. They still need to be accounted for on the balance sheet. And the process of that can be pretty difficult and pretty complex. And that's sort of what makes Intangible Girl and accounting departments so important. They're able to do this and do it without a lot of fanfare.
Right. Exactly. And some of these things, I mean, in the story, that's what brings her family business kind of crumbling down. That's really, it impacts businesses in great ways. And I'm super excited to bring on a real life superhero, if you will, Jun Feng. She's the controller of Contentstack. She'll be coming on right after you, Barney. And she's going to talk about some of these challenges that she's witnessed within her own business and how she's overcome them. If Intangible Girl solves these challenges in our fictional superheroes of finance world, what does her arch nemesis do, and how does she defeat him? Can you give us any details? Or I guess defeat him or
Sure,
her?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think as anyone in accounting can tell you, that their nemesis are complexity and chaos. Right. So in our fictional world, Intangible Girl will be battling CPA, the Certified Public Abomination. And he's one that brings chaos and complexity wherever he goes, specifically targets the accounting and finance departments.
Right.
And, there's some real consequences for not getting that right, as I'm sure you'll hear later, whether it's regulatory or just insights into the business.
Right. So then again, that's our fictional world. How can growing businesses overcome these challenges around intangible assets, like in the real world?
Right. I mean, just tracking assets in general can be real challenging for a lot of businesses, given the number of assets they might own and the diversity of those assets. And that's the reason, like, having solutions like NetSuite that can automate asset management can make a big difference by just creating a central repository and getting all that data out of spreadsheets in different departments where it can be difficult to track down and account for, and just crunch the numbers in general.
Other than her super awesome origin story, what other types of content should we look for around Intangible Girl?
Yeah, sure. Well, with each of these heroes, we're releasing a short animated video, as well as a graphic novel that will run on the NetSuite blog. And there's some accounting jokes. There's some nerdy comic book references in there. Like I said, it's been a fun project. So people should be on the lookout for those.
Awesome. And before I let you go, I have to ask a final question. Who are some of your real life superheroes in business that you'd like to call out?
Sure. I mean, kind of sticking with the accounting theme, there's really a lot of their work that probably goes unrecognized. And I think like a lot of people, the past year has put, just a ton of pressure on them. I spoke with one of our customers, Domo. They're an analytics software company. And, just because the circumstances had to go from, an in-person to a remote monthly close. And they did it without really missing a beat. And I talked to them and they brushed it off a bit, kind of crediting a lot of NetSuite for a lot of that. Right. And the fact that they'd done some remote work with their auditors in the past, but, it still seemed pretty impressive to me. I'm no accountant. The monthly close seems pretty heroic in and of itself.
For sure. And that's really what we talked about this in our first episode around our superheroes of finance, when we were talking about Captain Finance, and just how really this whole series is dedicated to showcasing our customers' superpowers, showcasing our, business leaders' superpowers. Yes, NetSuite might help you. We might be your weapon of choice, if you will, but everyone there, like at these companies that we work with, they're the real superheroes, right?
Yeah, they're doing some incredible things. It's really neat to see.
For sure. Well, Barney, we're going to get into a real life superhero right now. So thank you so much for joining us. And like I said, I'm glad this was your first time, certainly not your last.
All right. Well, thanks for having me, Kendall.
Does your business have trouble managing inventory, projects, or even getting paid on time? Don't let spreadsheets and QuickBooks hold you back. If you want to get your business to a better place, take action now and make the move to NetSuite. Stop paying for multiple systems that don't give you the information you need when you need it. Ditch the spreadsheets and all the old software you've outgrown. Now is the time to upgrade to NetSuite by Oracle, the world's #1 cloud business system. NetSuite gives you visibility and control over your financials, HR, inventory, e-commerce, and more. Everything you need, all in one place, instantaneously. Whether you're doing $1 million or hundreds of millions in revenue, save time and money with NetSuite.
Join the over 24,000 companies using NetSuite right now. Let NetSuite show you how they'll benefit your business with a free product tour at netsuite.com/business. Schedule your free product tour right now at netsuite.com/business. netsuite.com/business.
Now, I'm excited to introduce Jun Feng, a real-life superhero of finance and a controller at Contentstack. She'll dive into her own origin story, her superpowers, her role at Contentstack, and how she's leveraged NetSuite to help the business overcome growing pains and continue to scale and succeed. Hi, Jun. Welcome to the NetSuite podcast.
Hey, Kendall. Thanks for having me.
Super excited to have you on and hop into your superhero story, if you will. In fact, we actually just talked a bit about Intangible Girl and what led to her becoming a superhero of finance. So I want to do the same with you. What's your backstory, Jun? Where did your love for accounting stem from?
Well, I feel like I've fall just under my lap. And, I got lucky that when I first moved to the US and I have a really good CPA, and I thought, well, I'm good with business. I love numbers and I'm good at math, and I should try that. So that's how I picked accounting back in school. And
Wow.
with that, with the internship and with landing my first job at Deloitte, so the passion for finance and accounting and everything just deepened. And here I am.
And here you are, and you still love accounting.
Love it.
What would you say is your accounting superpower?
There are quite a few. Well, first of all, caveat is the fact that still continue to learn and better at them every day, right? So the main thing I want to highlight today is the fact that tech savvy, I would say, adaptability, ability to connect with others, and last but not least, execution.
Wow. Those are great superpowers, Jun.
Thank you. I'm still learning it. Like I said, I wouldn't say I'm super, but I love to have those to get better.
Yeah. Well, and technology, it's interesting that you say like being tech savvy is one of your superpowers, because that's actually one of Intangible Girl's superpowers. So you guys are alike in that way. So I actually want to know how you're using that superpower in your current role as a controller at Contentstack. But before we get into all of that, can you tell our audience a bit about the company?
Yeah, of course. So Contentstack is the leading content management system, aka CMS, which allows organizations to manage the content across all digital channels and create amazing digital experience. Our product pioneered the headless CMS category and effortlessly handles like large scale, complex, and mission-driven deployments for brands like Riot Games, Sephora,
Wow.
McDonald, 1-800-Flower, Elastic, Freeletic, Chico, Morningstar, Chase, Holiday Inn, and Express. And guess
Wow.
what? Also Miami Heats. And
Wow.
you just name a few, right? So Forrester actually recognized Content Stack as having the highest rating for omni-channel digital experience. And Content Stack is also consistently the highest rated enterprise offering by the customers in G2.
Mm.
I'm sure all tech folks know about all this website, right? Forrester and
Uh-huh.
G2. The
Yes.
bottom line is that Content Stack makes it possible for marketers to easily and quickly bring new digital experience to market without having to rely on their developers.
Yeah.
So this hasn't been true for 25 years based on my tech people telling me.
Yeah.
But then Content Stack make it possible.
Yeah. That's
So,
amazing. So many of those brands are some of my favorite brands. That's awesome to hear. Um,
mhm.
so when and how did you end up joining the Content Stack team?
I officially started with the company in December 2019. How? It's a good question. Literally, I focused on a few things, right? I'm sure a lot of people can relate it. It's you first look at the companies, the product, right? And then the people
Yep.
and the process and system in place, and currently the vision at that time when you interview and their vision as a future stage as well, right? So
Mhm.
when I interviewed them, they just had the Series A funding round, which is great. It's leading by Inside Partners, which is a
Mhm.
great investor in the valley. Basically, they are the unicorn. They invest in so many unicorn companies. You
Yeah.
know, um, and then so that's investors confident in the product. Even myself, like knowing that we serve brands like Miami Heats and all the so many NBA brands and all that.
Right.
So when I took a look at that, it was like no brainer. It's a good product.
Yeah.
And then our our CEO, it's a minority and is a woman, and our
Mm.
sales leader is a woman. So myself as a woman in finance, of course, love to see company that owned by women, lead by women, and empowering women in every single direction, right? And
Of
then
course.
so my boss too, talking about people, he's a great, has so extensive experience. So and even in the public accounting side as well as the private side. So I felt like that's important to help me grow. And
Yeah.
speaking of process and system, we had a really good conversation talking about how are we going to up level the our tooling system to enable us to grow, right? So we are the back end in the finance team, right? I feel like in the big picture, in the behind the curtain, behind the scene, but that's important to me. So we had a really good conversation. We kind of whiteboard everything. So anyway, so fast forward and look back, it's like those are really the main factors like help me to make the decision of signing the offer with them. So and I'm great, really still grateful every day because it's one of the best decisions I've ever made. A great team and continue to like work with great people, smart people.
Yeah, for sure. Those are some great things that everyone should look out for in a business. And I love that you noted that there was opportunity for growth, that you saw there was opportunity where you could come in and you could really make a difference. So I'm actually curious, like, what were some of those opportunities? What were some of the big challenges? Or since we're talking about superheroes, the
Hmm.
operational or systemic villains, if you will, that you ran
Hmm.
into with Content Stack, where you saw there was an opportunity to really make a bit of a difference.
Yeah, it's just really, by the way, another reason I didn't say that, but the reason I choose this company too, it's a challenge that we're gonna face, right?
Yeah,
So our
right.
company, I am actually the controller for Content Stack, but truth is actually I'm a controller for Content Stack, Raw Engineering, and Surf for Venture. It's a big company together. They're assembling companies.
Yeah.
Are we gonna dive more to that, the complexity of accounting
Mhm.
finance? But yeah, the challenge is like we and I love the fact that my boss was super transparent with me the current stage, which we have different systems and different things, and we out like everything silo, like literally was Excel spreadsheet because from our foreign countries entity, like they have to send us Excel spreadsheet for the information and roll ups and all that, and the multi currency issues and not
Yeah.
automated. By the way, one of the biggest issue was the fact that like revenue, it's based on Excel spreadsheet. It's like we can't afford that. Like I love Excel, don't get me wrong, it's a really great tool. But there's a limitation, right? So we're human after all. So we could make
Yes.
mistakes and all that.
Right.
No timely information. And given that I told you about how it's a silo system, like different people use different things, and they're not even cloud. Actually, part of the tool is not even cloud, so there's no full picture of the financial at a glance. No way. uh, Super manual, and we just outgrown at that point basically. So
Yeah.
mhm,
So how did you overcome these challenges? Like, what would you say was your, again, sticking to the superheroes theme, your
mhm.
secret weapon in
Yes,
overcoming these
text.
challenges?
Yeah, definitely. So challenge aside, so that it's like tech savvy. It's like I love technology. I love to utilize technologies to, and probably that's the reason I got hired. My boss can correct me if I'm wrong, that I'm super tech savvy and talk about the tools I have used and how my knowledge about, the greatest ERP in the valleys and all that. So that's knowing that I'm able to bring from the old stage, right, the past time, to the
Mhm,
future stage of utilize technology, something,
mhm,
gray system, everything in one place, right? NetSuites, for example, that's what I implement later on. So that's
mhm.
how my superpower of tech savvy, as well as adaptability. Because there was a transition when I first on board. I need to make sure that I understand the full picture and adapt it to what it was back then, so I can see my stage of like, hey, how do I quickly move out from this, right? I can see how, and know the best approach as well. And then ability to connect with people, able to, actually it's gaining support from the company, that like, hey, we need to purchase this tool, right, or whatever
Yeah.
system that we need to enable us do the work. Able to influence them, and
Right.
cross functionally as well, right? We told them like, hey, it's actually not just us benefit from it, actually the whole company's growth really rely on something, right, a great tool. So speaking of that, like adaptability, literally it's just so important to just adapt. Like you gotta not always focus back then, like, oh, I have this tool, you can do it, like just wait, just bear, it's too early to us consider. No, it's never too early. It's a fact that we're able to utilize technology to automate things, and I'm glad that we finally over that hump, by the way, Kendall.
Right. I'm sure. I'm sure. And, as you said, like it's never too early, because with a system like NetSuite, for example, it's flexible enough to grow with you. Right.
Yeah, exact. You on point. Literally, just like that's why I choose NetSuite. It's because it's so, what do you call it? Like the out of box. Remember, I told you about how, hey, I need to adapt, right? Adapt
Right.
meaning that knowing that it existing system, how was that, and how to adapt to new system. It's like it helps me so much to do my work easily. It's because it's so, has great capability, out of box capability. Yet
Yeah.
yet I can customize it so
Hmm.
easily. It's not like, oh, I have to wait for a designer, developer to help me design it. No, I can actually do it myself, like to customize a few things here and there, right? So
Yeah. That's a
within no
great
time of downtime.
That is a great point, June. In fact, we recently chatted on our prior podcast. For our listeners who are tuning in, make sure you have a listen to this. But on our last podcast, we chatted with the senior technical manager of test development at the AICPA.
Hmm.
She talked about some of the big changes coming with the CPA exam this summer, actually in July, a lot of which focus on technology and automation. She actually talked a little bit about how communication skills are super important as well when it comes to, like you talked about, having influence over people at your company to trust you in the systems that you're implementing.
Hmm.
But again, big focus on technology and automation. Can
Hmm.
you speak to this from your own experience? I mean, you kind of touched on it, but like, what technology and systems are most helpful to you in your job specifically, and why? Like, how has technology and automation become critical to your success in your role?
Wow. First of all, I love it. Yeah, when I heard that, I heard that. I love that, I love the comment about CBA exam. And by the
Yeah.
way, just want to clarify, it's a long question. I'm going to break it little by little piece, right? Talk about,
Perfect.
yeah, first of all, love the feedback. Definitely, like our, we, we are kind of like stereotypical, like we think we're just crunching the number, that's all we do, right? The truth is actually technology, and as well as the communication, that's so important. I'm able to do my job today, is able to communicate, get buy-in to get the tool, right? And it's just true that the focus on tech is so big piece. It's just really, really knowing what is the best technology out there, right? So I think you and I and other few folks were talking about like what are the, what are some of the advice I give to, people want to be in finance or become my role, right, in one day. So like that's a skill set, like having tech savvy, knowing,
Right.
understand automations and all that is, it's really important thing, because it's not worth it to do the manual power and focus on something that you can have machine done with a click, right? Literally, that's how amazing that, by the way, that's some of the amazing things I love about NetSuite is there's so many automations that I did it just within a one click. No longer have to worry about what's the issue, what's the,
Mhm.
what did I didn't do? Like machine knows everything,
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah. No manual, no
no
manual
many,
data
yeah. And then
errors.
yeah, and speaking about like what technologies have like most helpful to me, so in that question, let me pass it out. Let me pause. So there are a few things. First thing, like we talk about NetSuite, right? I do want to dive in a little bit more because that's really big, is, as my role, that's my baby. Can I say that? It's like it's number one on my list, right? It's like tools that help me do my work better. Um, because like the automation we talk about, right, how amazing the system is, like literally, it actually, like for example, like vertical specialization, like I don't need to worry about, like I can slice and dice my information whatever ways that I want, so I can share with different sales leader to help them make informative decision. It's also transparent as well, like really click, like somebody asked me for a report, like, oh yeah, with a click, that's done,
Mhm.
right? As well as like automation, it's I can't like highlight enough like how a lot of things that, NetSuite, I'm really grateful, such as like advanced revenue recognition, and as well as like all the prepay. It's really tough for, like using Excel spreadsheet to do that, because you have so many special kind of situation, but yet
Right.
NetSuite can handle it right on the spot. And as well as like able to reduce my close time. Literally my close time now is down to only a few days every month. Back then it
Yeah.
was like, oh, dreading like when are you gonna finishing. Now it's like only a few days, and that's about
Yeah.
it.
And like from a business perspective, how
Hmm.
has technology helped Content Stack continue to grow, especially amid the business changes we've seen over the past year with remote work and so on and so
Yeah.
forth?
Hmm. Yeah, we mentioned about earlier about how collaboration, right? So well, one step back, let's talk about like actually content stack. We are, first of all, we are the, we help company with the digital strategy, right? We are
Mhm.
really into all about remote. Even before COVID, our team is really already remote. I literally barely, like me and my team, we're in different countries and
Mhm.
in different time zones and all that. So, but next week, and make it even easier, it's like we collaboration everything in one tool across the board, right?
Yeah.
So it make us closer connector, so I can see this stuff, no longer have to wait for turnaround time to they download Excel spreadsheet, upload it to um, share with me. And the
Right.
visibility in one platform, it's like I can't I you know it's just so important to us, right?
Right.
Multinational, because the company grow, we continue to grow internationally, so with
Mhm.
that, like all those multi-currency consolidations, I don't have to worry about it. It's like
Mhm.
NetSuite does it all. So, and then our senior leadership, by the way, our senior leadership, department heads, managements have much, much visibility into their operations. They can see,
Mhm.
like, they can see how much they have spent, right? Particular thing, like, and then makes really, makes it important to us to help them to make informative decision with all these data points, with all the
Right.
visibility to financials and all that.
Right. Right. Yeah, that makes sense. And so basically, what I'm hearing from you is you guys were already working remote in different countries all over
Yeah.
the world. So
Hmm.
having, the changes that happened this year you were already acclimated. You've already been working remote. You've already been working in different countries. You've already had to figure out those that kind of collaboration process amid your team. So and to, again, regurgitating what you're saying, NetSuite has always helped you do that.
Yes, definitely. It's bring us to up level. I would also say that it's really up level our game. Really, my team love it. Literally, they were like, I wish I could say, we're only in podcast. I wish it's like a Zoom so I can show you a text message. She said to me, I loving it the first time. Like, at the beginning, they were like, oh, speaking of actually, I'm backtracking to, you mentioned about the superpower. Another thing, it's actually change management as well. It's so important. It's the fact that, I want to add that to it. Is it too late?
No, add it right now.
Change management is the fact that like, hey, how to actually get the team not to be scared. It's fully transparent. None of my team member, I'm the only one have touched NetSuite, right?
Yeah.
So like they were, unable to like actually calm them, like make sure like everything's gonna be good.
Yeah.
And then once you move into it, and it's like really super easy to use. Like, oh my God, they were like, yeah, loving it. Like everything is like, for example, you put your cursor in, it makes sense. Like, of course, you go to report to find your financials, and you go to list to find your list of employees, or list to find your accounts. Or the thing, it just makes sense. Like they were original, like, oh, never used it before. So change management is like having them to like, okay, hold on, don't worry. It's, we're gonna get there. And with the NetSuite and our implementation team's support, is like they literally, we went live so easily. No kidding. We went live 43 days.
Wow.
From the start to finish. And by the way, not because our company is easy. Our company is super complex. Actually, we have 5 entities up there. So the change management, it's like having the team able to adapt to it was so quickly because it's really easy to access, like the user interface and everything. It's just amazing. So it helped us definitely.
That's great. Well, and that says a lot about you too, Jun. I mean, that your company had the confidence in you, and when you said, "Hey, this is going to be good. NetSuite's going to be good. This implementation is going to be good for us." That says a lot about you, and what we went back to earlier, those communication skills and being able to instill trust in your, in your team and in your company to, make these types of really big changes in your systems and processes. So that's great. I would definitely say that is a superpower. So good for you.
Thank you.
Now, as we look forward to some semblance of normalcy here in the future, businesses are ready to take on this new age of growth, to embrace opportunity and really accelerate forward. How is Contentstack doing this, and how are you looking at planning for the future?
Yeah, so we touched base early on the fact that, we have, our brand names, our trusted customers trusted us in all, different verticals, right? We have really wide industry vertical, before even COVID, right? And we'll continue to see like the expansion from there, first thing first. Coming out from the COVID or this or 2020, right? Going to 2021, a lot of companies know how important is to have a strong digital strategy presence, right? And our customers, adapting and living way far more digital today than ever before. Right. Which is like, this is Contentstack's number one headless can help our customers to achieve this. So we're planning for growth worldwide, increase our global footprints, potentially increase additional product offering, which, NetSuite going to help us because our vertical, literally, I love it when I just extract the data, kind of analyze like, hey, which product I see better, which one I have really good margins and all that, literally within no time, just with a click of the button, basically. So thank you, thank you to your team. So
I love that. Thanks. So I guess to kind of round things out here, what, again, on the superhero theme, what do you want to share about the unsung heroes of accounting? What do you wish more people knew?
Thank you, Kendall. I love that. Thank you for asking that question. Needed cuddle. First of all, needed applause to all fellow finance and accounting folks out there. Well, just because we are behind the scene doesn't mean that, we are not part of the success. not just sales or, marketing, whatever that is, right? So
Right.
one such group that, in our finance team, so we are we're the number crunchers, we're the money chasers. The reason people get paid, okay? Folks in accounting and finance, it's a huge important to business as well, right? To the economy, the future, and the public doesn't see the need of like understand it, but then, they just want it all. Like they just want things to work. But it's just us actually behind the scene to do the magic. Hello. The security, the stability, the structure we bring, the accountancies that we bring to the picture. And you know why public companies need audit and they need a good financial, like they need to look at it. It's because of us, right? So, so not to isolate the number, don't look at us isolated as like a number crunchers and the stereotype, like make us, we also, we're funny. I hope
you are funny.
I'm funny. Happy. We're creative people. I'm not so creative, but my teammates are more creative than I am. So we have ability to like work with the team. We work, with different team members, cross-functionally and all that, right? And which in terms, actually, it helps the company to function better. Think about it that way. We help the company function better. So when you're folks out there, when you're thinking about your next paycheck, your next expense reports, and your next client bills, remember the people who deal with these transactions every day. So let's, and virtually, let's raise a toast to all the unsung heroes out there, right? And that's it. Not yet. I'm
clinking my coffee cup.
Ding, ding. Hey, speaking of that, for folks don't have the grade 2, like I do yet. So hey, please go out there, support your team, give them the budget, give them the tool to up-level them, to help them and help the organization to grow. Right. Help us help you. Can I say that?
Yes. I love that. That's great. Jun, this has been such a fun conversation. You are awesome. I love talking with you, and I look forward to all the growth that's to come for Contentstack in the future.
Yeah, look forward to that, and look forward to our physical cheering, right? One of these days,
right?
To cheer for the unsung heroes.
So true. So true. Well, thank you so much, Jun.
Cheers. Have a good one.
Thank you so much to Barney Beal and Jun Feng for joining us on this episode. I've left a link in the description of this episode if you want to learn more about our newest member of the Superheroes of Finance, Intangible Girl. And I also want to shout out to our editing crew over at Lampstand and all of you superheroes, as always, for tuning in. If you like what you heard, don't forget, rate, review, and subscribe. Bye.
You just listened to the NetSuite podcast. Be sure to tune in every week with more NetSuite developments, stories, and insights into the benefits of one integrated system to help you run your business.